Hey, super legends, superheroes, and superstars. My name's Dr. Dre, but yes, without the doctor. You're tuned into Hot Hire, which is the number one place. That's right, I said number one place if you're looking to get into your ideal job in the shortest time possible. So today, I'm excited, I'm pumped. So this next guest, I've wanted to get her on because her experience and expertise in recruitment, sales, and marketing. And also every couple of weeks, she runs her own webinars to do with resumes and CVs as well. And I'm going to be slightly selfish here as well. So she's part of the Tony Robbins family. And I love Tony Robbins. So Tony Robbins changed my life. So she's a Tony Robbins trainer. So I'm so selfish. So that's some of the main reasons why I wanted to get her on. So I just want to say a massive, huge welcome to Kerry O'Connor. How are you, Kerry?
Yay! Hello. Do a bit of the Tony Robbins style.
Yeah, how are you?
At the bottom, I am fabulous. I am absolutely fabulous at the moment. Couldn't be better.
Love that. Right, I just want to say appreciate your time because I know how busy you are. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Specifically career-wise, I am a marketer by trade. I graduated into the last recession we had to have, so I know what it's like being young and no experience and trying to find a job, because I've been there. So that's how I started my career. I got a job and got accepted into masters at the same time. So I went and continued studying because my answer was, well, if I can't get a job back when you're applying for jobs, I went, well, I'll keep studying and keep building skill set and keep building knowledge. And I'll eventually get a job. And, you know, I did some free stuff, worked for free, did some kind of, I wouldn't call it an internship, but I put myself out there and said, can I come and do some work for you? That really helped get me some references because I had worked somewhere that was kind of relevant, not delivering pizzas or working in retail. So something that was more relevant to where I was going. Brilliant. And so they were my referees that got me my first job. And then from that, I worked in marketing in the building industry and loved that and have been working in it ever since. So I've been in it ever since. And around the year 2000, I kind of decided I wanted to move into recruitment. God only knows. Most people accidentally find themselves into recruitment. They go for a job and the recruiter says, don't worry about that job, come work for us. Yeah. That's how it often happens. And I was actually looking to move into recruitment. I wanted to use my master's in marketing, but I didn't want to work in marketing anymore. And I thought, how do I gain maximum dollars for what I know? And I thought recruitment was the way to do that. You do a really great job, you get paid. If you don't do a really great job, you don't. So it's maximum reward for effort. And because oftentimes in marketing, you can do a really great job and the salespeople implement your great idea. They get a nice bonus and you get nothing. And I'm like, no. I want to get paid for my great ideas and the execution. So recruitment was it. So I went to work for Morgan & Banks and they were a great place to work. I was working with some of the cleverest, sharpest and most long-serving recruiters in the industry. So I learned from the very best and I applied best practice. And then I went to work somewhere else who paid me more money to do the same thing, which was kind of nice. And then I went out on my own. And so I've been in the industry 20 years. So 6 months is where most recruiters tap out. They go in and go, no, this is not for me, and I'm out. 2 years makes you a veteran. So 20 years makes me a grandma. And, you know, I look like no grandma.
You're definitely not a grandma.
But 20 years is highly unusual. So emotional output and that is required to pick yourself up and dust yourself off. It's often the best way to describe recruitment as an emotional roller coaster.
Yes.
And so I think that's where Robbins came in handy. So being able to manage your emotions and kind of smooth out the big rises and falls and, you know, mountains and valleys and that kind of thing. So I think that's probably part of why I've stuck it out as long as I have. But ultimately, it's taken me 20 years to discover that I just really like helping people. So that's why I go to Robbins. That's why I want to always drop everything and help my friends move house. It's why I work in recruitment, because I want to help people. I want to help people have better lifestyle. I want people to, you know, live where they want to live and have the lifestyle they want, and the holidays they want, and the job they want, and work with the people they want to work with. I love doing that. That's my dream. So I get to do that every day.
I love that. All right. So how did you get into like the Tony Robbins family? What was your...
Oh gosh. By accident, when you bring it right back. In my first job, remember cassette tapes? Remember all the rage cassette tapes? Well, in the job that I first started as a marketing assistant, one of the guys who was head of marketing communications was retiring, and I was going to pick up, you know, some of his work. So I was cleaning out his desk after he left, and there was this tape there, and I went, oh, I don't know what that was, and just chucked it in my drawer. So it stayed in my drawer for months and months and months. And then I pulled it out and went, oh, I'll shove it in my car, because my car had a tape deck in it.
Yeah.
And then I was driving late one night, and I pulled the tape out of it. You know how it was just kind of potluck, because you're driving and it's dark and you can't, so just pull something out and go, okay, it's like shuffle these days on your phone, and put it in. And it was midway through, so you wind it back to the beginning. And it was a promotional thing for Tony Robbins. And I listened to it and I went, wow, blew my mind. And then I was in a bookstore months later, and I went, that's the guy from the tape. So I bought the book, and I went, wow, I love the book. And then I was still working at the same place back when faxes were still around. This is really showing my age, actually. And faxes could end up sitting on anybody's desk. And this was a promo fax for UPW. Tony was coming to Sydney. And I didn't even know he really did events and that kind of thing. But it happened to be put on my desk. God only knows why. It could have sat on anybody's desk. It wasn't directed to anybody, but it ended up on my desk. And I went, oh, that's the guy from the tape in the book. I'll ring up. So I ring up, and they tell me how much it is. And I'm like, oh my God, like 20 years ago, you know, it's $1,000 or something. I went, are you kidding me? And I went, oh yeah, but it's money back guarantee after 2 days, blah, blah, blah. And I went, all right. So I upgraded and got a better seat. I bought in. And then it blew my mind. And even before I got in there, it was when it was at the Hordern Pavilion in Sydney. If anybody's familiar with that, he does much bigger stadiums now, but this was much more intimate. They would have been lucky to be 2,000 people in the room. Oh, wow. And I just saw how amazing all his crew were outside. And I hadn't even got in. I didn't even know what I was going to be getting into, but I went, I want to come back next year and do whatever they're doing. They're amazing. They're amazing. Yeah. And they blew me away before I'd even gone in. So before I've even seen the guy in the flesh, his crew and that kind of stuff just blew my mind. I went, I want what they've got. It was like that classic Harry met Sally, you know, I'll have what she's having. Yeah. That was me. And I've gone back every year for the last 20 years.
Wow. Wow. Oh, I love that. Absolutely love that. All right. So do you have any like valuable like tips that you can share with the audience?
For specifically during COVID at the moment and that kind of thing, because it's really turned the market on its head. It's a different marketplace now. So because it's so much more competitive, I think it's really important that your resume is in great shape. So number one, make sure your resume is great, because it needs to stand out. You're not just competing against another 20, another 50, another 100. You're competing against 200, 300 people. So how do you stand out? And I think it's really important to go and get feedback constantly. Ask recruiters, ask line managers, ask people you trust, ask the recruiters you're dealing with, ask people that have lots of experience. Yeah. Ask career coaches and career managers, HR managers, get them to give you some feedback, and you can use what works for you and discard what you don't. But it's really important to stand out, really important. And so I started running resumes, because the way I used to look at a resume changed when COVID hit, because it's different now. What you could get away with in February and before, you just can't get away with that now. You can't. You're just going to get steamrolled over by somebody who cares more, who's participating in their own rescue, and really focus on making sure they make a great first impression. And if you're not doing that, and everybody you're competing with is, you know, you're in no man's land, and no man's land doesn't get you hired. Yeah. It just doesn't. So focus on your resume and make sure it stands out, which is what my resume webinars I'm doing now. I really focus on how to stand out.
Yeah, so tell me a bit more about your webinar. So when do they take place?
They take place every fortnight. You can check all my socials for that. So we're doing it twice a fortnight. In fact, we're even doing it on Thursdays and Thursdays after work and Saturdays now. So we're doing our first Saturday one coming up, because sometimes it just doesn't work. People are working late or traveling, or, you know, got to get kids sorted or whatever. So we're doing a Saturday morning at 9 a.m. as well. So we're doing 2 every fortnight, you know, so every second week, a Thursday and a Saturday. And it's really focusing on, you know, tips and tricks, what's happening in the back end. So what recruiters need to make a quick decision, because most people are saying, you know, you're lucky to get 6 seconds for them to take a look, right? You know, you've got volumes and volumes. So how do you make your time most efficient when you're screening so many different candidates and looking through all those resumes? So I'm really focused on how to make that impact in 6 seconds or less, so that they either want to see what you've got there and pick up the phone and call you straight away, or they want to read, you know, the rest of what you've got. So, you know, the first 6 seconds, we've got that. Now I want to read for 8, 10, 15, 20 seconds and then got on the phone and call you. So that's what my focus is, because if you don't have that, you're making it so much harder for yourself than you need to. And I mean, you've worked in the industry, you've seen lots of resumes, you've seen truckloads of them. And I find, you know, up to 70%, sometimes 80%, depending on the job, they're cobbled together last minute. They're poorly laid out. Yeah. It's not well thought out. Grammar, punctuation, poorly laid out, not setting themselves up to win. Like, there's so many things that sometimes there's minor changes, sometimes there's major changes, but you need to, I mean, I've got a 45-point plan. So we give you an Excel spreadsheet where you literally tick off, this is how we know this section's right. This is how we know this section's right. This is how we know this section's right. And so when you've got a whole bunch of things where you're not getting the total full marks for that section, now you know where to go and fix it. So it's not random. It's a set out, and there's points for certain things. So the more important it is, the more points, and the more you want to focus on that part. But yeah, I kind of tried to figure out what's the easiest and quickest way when I'm chatting to somebody in a webinar for half an hour to understand quickly, where do I need to go first and fix it.
Brilliant. We'll make sure we put your contact details in the show notes so people can.
Beautiful. So we'll do all the socials so you can find me.
And also, Christmas is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have, like, you know, sort of like any tips? Should, like, people be, because, you know, at Christmas time, most people sort of relax, put their feet up. Should people be doing?
Finding that, you know, it's like that every year. As a recruiter, you can kind of see towards the end of November, applications drop off, there's less return phone calls, clients are more happy to have a chat with you than give you a job as such, to feel like they kind of, if somebody leaves October, November, December, they kind of go, can we get by to, and then look in January, February, and we'll bank the cash we would have spent on that person and worry about it in the new year. But I think COVID's brought a really different kind of change to the marketplace. I'm run off my feet. I've got clients that want jobs filled before Christmas, and I don't think I'm alone in that. But I think you've also got a whole bunch of more motivated candidates. So if you switch off and go, it's Christmas like every other year, you could miss out on a whole bunch of good quality jobs that are out there because people want them filled, especially in this marketplace, because it's tough. If they don't have to hire somebody at the moment because business is tough and the economy is down, so the fact that somebody's going to invest and put some money into a new role or the replacement of an existing role, they're spending the time and effort. They really need that person, because if you can do without it, they'll do without it, right? So it's important. They want it, and they want the person hired. So, you know, don't wait, jump on board. The other thing you could be doing, just in case for December, is network extensively. Get on LinkedIn. I was only chatting to a candidate who's a really top flight marketer today. who had forgotten how extensive her network was. And she said, I'm just going to try and get as many coffees as I can in, because with COVID now and us being in a great place, you can actually go and have those coffees. You don't have to have them virtually. So from that perspective, she said, oh my God, I'd forgotten. So I'm ringing them all up. I'm tracking them down. I'm following up. She had literally forgotten how extensive her network is. And I think people forget. And you want to build that network on LinkedIn, because once you've built it once and you invest the time, you don't lose track of these people. They're there. That's why recruiters love it. Like back in the day, before there was LinkedIn, or before people used it extensively, you would lose track of somebody. You didn't have they're not answering their old email because it's been hacked. Their mobile numbers change because they've got a new job and you can't get a hold of them. You lose track of them. With LinkedIn, you don't lose track. You know who they are, where they are, and you can keep in contact. That's what you want. You want that with really good recruiters, with really good colleagues that you respect, all your suppliers, all your customers. You want to be well connected with all of those, because, you know, who knows what happens in 2021. You know, you want to be investing now, because nobody knows. Nobody knew what 2020 was going to bring. And nobody knows what 2021 is going to bring. But you need to focus on the things you can control, the things you can do something about, and manage and control those. And you can control and expand your network. You can control and manage that and do a really great job with it. And there's nothing to stop you from publishing your own stuff on LinkedIn. I think that's going to be really interesting. One of my other clients at the moment, the reason he found me was he's stalking one of the candidates he was going to interview on LinkedIn, and they'd commented or liked something. Down the rabbit hole we go. Yeah, you know, LinkedIn's just the same as YouTube and Facebook, right? When it comes to going down a rabbit hole, certainly I do. But he found me and he went, oh, that's exactly the person I need to help me fill this job. I'm not finding what we're after. So being active, you'll be surprised what happens. Go publish your thoughts on whether it's looking for a job and how that's going, and your points of view on that, what's working, what's not. It'll be interesting and good feedback, and everybody's got an opinion on recruiters and how terrible they are. So, you know, talk about how that's going. You can also talk about your expertise. It doesn't matter whether you're a graduate or you're a marketing assistant or a sales rep or a general manager or a marketing manager. You've got some expertise that somebody else can utilize, they want to know what you've got to say. So, you know, feel free to publish that kind of stuff on LinkedIn and help to build your, you know, personal profile and brand out in the marketplace. Everything's going to help.
Kerry, I absolutely love you. Just so much gold. Absolutely so much gold. All right, Kerry. It's about that time. We're going to wrap up. Do you have a dad joke for us to finish on?
I do. So, okay. What time did the man go to the dentist?
Okay. I don't know. What time did the man go to the...
2:30.
Kerry, I just want to say a massive thank you. You've delivered so much gold. I'm going to give you a mic drop for that joke as well. You've been an absolute superstar. So thank you.
Fantastic. Anything I can do, I'll see you next time. We need to talk more often.